Hello, and welcome to Bridgerton Fancast. And what am I? Chopped liver? No, I'm Michelle. You can find me at Musings, and I have not read the Bridgerton books beyond the first two, although
You started
I
four.
did start the romancing
Mr.
Mr. Bridgerton, but I am not finished with it yet.
Where are you up to? Just to completely derail the intro.
I am up to kind of the point that we're going to be covering today.
Ah, so you've had the fun times in the carriage scene. Ooh.
Oh, yes.
And my voice is that of Rita. I am at Annoying Rita on Instagram, where I mostly just post other people's reels on my stories, and I'm the book reader. Today we're going to be talking about and recapping episode 7. Thank you all for being so patient while we had our little medical-induced sabbatical last week. I'm glad to report that I'm feeling much better, and I'm ready to tear into this show again. Woohoo! You're not safe. We also wanted to announce that after we complete Bridgerton Season 3 and do our book club episode, we'll be recapping and reviewing a new show, shiny new show, My Lady Jane, which looks really fun. I sent Michelle the trailer and you went, yes.
Yes, indeed.
I'll be putting the link up to the trailer in the show notes for anyone who's interested in watching along with us. That will be on our other podcast, In the Books podcast. Subscribe, etc. if that's something you want to watch with us. And it looks fun. It looks fun. Anyway, Let's talk Bridgerton Season 3, Episode 7. Let's start with the recap.
So, at the end of the previous episode, Colin was the last man on Earth to learn about Penelope's identity as Lady Whistledown, and we began episode 7 with him confronting her about it.
I knew something was wrong. Stupidly, I blamed myself, as if I was undeserving of your love, but you are the one that is at fault. I will never forgive you.
Oh, honey bunch, you are gonna completely forgive her by the end of the next episode. We're on a schedule, man, so all these lofty pronouncements, we ain't got time for that. Now we cut to the next morning. Cressida and her mother are rejoicing as it seems their little scheme is working. They have put out an issue of Whistledown with Cressida's name on it, and bish, bash, boom, everyone seems to be falling for it. Their issue is basically just an attack on the Bridgertons for all having used the love match excuse to hush over their ruined engagements.
Rushed.
Violet is horrified, but luckily for her, the real Lady Whistledown also publishes, and she categorically denies being Cressida, so a win for the Bridgerton household. However, the consequences for Cressida are severe. Her father basically locks her in her room until her aunt comes to collect her from Wales. Dun, dun, dun!
No, not the sheep.
The Ton are yet again out for a promenade, and Penelope runs into Eloise. She hurriedly explains that Colin caught her out last night, and she worries that he will not speak to her ever again. Eloise feels caught in between the couple and tries to extricate herself from the impending drama, but Penelope tries to lure her back by telling her how much she cannot bear the thought of losing them in her life. Eloise pulls away, and she tells Penelope that she wishes her luck. Honestly, a really smart move for Eloise. I personally would be avoiding them like the plague.
This ain't none of her business. Let her stay out of it.
Exactly. Violet is having tea with Lady Danbury. She has decided to listen to her daughter and approach the queen for an audience. But Lady Danbury tells her not to bother. Charlotte is in a foul mood because Whistledown has eluded her again. And she doesn't think it has to be their duty, quite frankly, to save the day. Whilst an entirely sensible point, it's not like her friend to avoid a bit of meddling. And so Violet offers her any help and friendship she might need, which is nice because so far that relationship has been largely transactional and based on hooking up teenagers.
Yeah.
Ooh, God, that sounds bad, but
literally what they do. Yeah.
Yep.
Gross. Eloise, who would very much like to be removed from this narrative, thank you very much, arrives home only to be accosted by a very pissed off Colin. Colin, nothing to do with her. He is like, you should have told me. A very unreasonable position, if you ask me. And you are, because you're listening to our podcast, so you have to. Eloise explains she tried to get Penelope to tell him, and she has been trying very hard to forgive Penelope after learning of her column last year. Colin tells her she is very lucky to never have been in love and storms off heartbroken because we can't have Colin be sad on screen.
No.
He needs to do it elsewhere.
Nope.
But before you get to linger on any emotion at all ever, we cut to the Featherington house where Portia is showing Violet her arrangements for the wedding breakfast. The two mothers are distractedly looking over arrangements while Penelope whisper begs to Colin to acknowledge her, just like, fucking look at me.
Yes.
He cannot look at her and tells her he's going to marry her because he's a man of honor and they were quote-unquote intimate. I'm using finger bunnies. He basically accuses her of entrapment, which might be some Marina-based insecurities coming into play again.
Good call.
God, he's really been fucked over by the women in his life.
He really has. Oh, God.
And Penelope begins to cry. She tells him she did not entrap him, she loves him, and asks him what their marriage will be like. Colin is like, well, that depends on if you publish. Fair enough. Let's just get through the wedding first. Across the room, Violet and Portia notice the chilliness of the couple and do, mother worrying in a concerned face type situation. I don't know. Brace yourself, listeners, because Benedict calls on number 3. Number 3 explains that she has a casual relationship with number 4, but that it is a non-monogamous thing. In fact, number 4 is often intimate with, shock horror, men. Benedict tells her that he had never felt tempted by a man, ... before.
Yes.
God, he's met so much more handsome men.
I know, right?
I'm thinking Benedict has really bad taste in men. And number 3 gives him a speech about how repressed and unnatural their society is, but that the most natural thing in the world is to act on attraction between two people, even if those people happen to be of the same sex. She proposes that if Benedict ever wants to act on his attraction, she and number 4 will make themselves available to him. And then Benedict just proceeds to brood for the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
Let's not think about it too much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, enjoying yourselves? Me neither, but let's rip off the bandage and keep plowing on. Violet receives a visit from Marcus. She confides in him about the awkward situation regarding Franny's engagement, and he offers zero help. Instead, he proposes that they explore, more air quotes, the obvious vibes they have with each other, and Violet is like, sure, dude, let me just deal with my kid's bullshit first. If she is waiting for things to settle down with her children, she just might never get laid again.
I'd start just zoning out if I were you, Violet.
Yeah. Back to something a little more interesting. Cressida, who is still under house arrest, begs her mother for help. Her mother tells her that she can no longer help her, as she too has been threatened with banishment. She cannot help her daughter if she is sidelined from society, and so must watch on impotent. Boy, it sucks to be you, Cressida's mom. Cressida asks why her mother had to write about the Bridgertons. She regrets attacking Eloise when she was the only real friend she had. Cressida's mother... Yeah. I would hazard to say no. But let's see. Cressida's mother correctly points out that Eloise, her supposed true friend, is nowhere to be found in her hour of need. She can only rely on herself. Yup.
Fuck shit up, Cressida. Come on.
Yep. Okay. It's time for the stag do. Colin is basically drinking himself into an early coma, and John Sterling is joining him. John complains that Violet does not like him, and Benedict, I'm assuming he is under the influence as well, because he is oddly intense in this scene. Benedict encourages...
He's intense in every scene. Like, real shame to the actor. Can you notch it down a little? Like, you're chomping on the scenery.
I mean, she adores you. But, we'll get into more of that later.
Yeah.
Let's see. Benedict encourages him to be less respectful and do something foolish, like throw pebbles at Franny's window. Yeah,
don't do that.
Not a good plan.
No.
John downs a shot and wanders off to ponder this idea.
Yeah, but he never goes through with and is completely like, what was the point of this scene?
I know, right? Will also leaves, and Benedict, seeing his brother continue to drink, asks him if he's okay. He isn't, but when Colin asks Benedict the same, it's easier for the brothers to just shrug it off. That the scene was really kind of pointless. Really.
Men talk to each other and then don't resolve any of their issues or their feelings, and then they continue drinking and leave.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Penelope makes a late-night visit to Genevieve's and tells her that Colin found out. Genevieve pulls out some booze and they have a little girl talk. Penelope admits she feels relieved to have the secret finally revealed, but she feels incredibly guilty for her past behavior.
You have made some ill-considered choices in your time. You're a girl who did not know her own power.
But does that justify it?
No, there's no going back to the past. All one can do is be true to one's choices and look forward.
Amazing that we have this, genius relationship counselor.
Genevieve, what's your experience?
I know, right?
You banged Benedict once and you're now completely single.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, she was just 16, and now she is, checking our notes, 19. Oh, God, she's still just a child. She's a baby. Yeah. Great.
I don't like this whole, you're so much more mature now.
I know.
Is she? Great.
Anywho, Penelope admits she cannot give up her role as Whistledown without giving up a part of herself, and Genevieve advises her against showing her Yoda chops that true love can only exist when she is able to embrace her true self. Well, without Colin on board, no one will be embracing anyone.
Speaking of Colin, she runs into her fiancé as she exits the building, and they immediately get into a Barney. He wants to know why she wrote all those things about Eloise and Miss Thompson, and most importantly, him. You were very mean to me at the beginning of the year, Penelope. Penelope is forced to, yet again, apologize and grovel for his forgiveness. Colin assumes that she sees the errors of her ways and won't be publishing anymore, but Penelope cannot bring herself to make him any promises. Colin then admits he feels embarrassed to have shared his writing with her, knowing she is a much more prolific writer than he is, and Penelope is like, but I meant that! That was sincere, you dum-dum. And again, she declares her love, and they begin to passionately make out against the doorway. He was once again aiming for...
I mean,
you're trying to finger her again, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
Yeah.
Luckily, we are startled by a horse. Not the ghost horse of season 2, but just as irritating. Colin guides her back into her carriage and sends her off on her way. Okay, so After that, Colin arrives home to find golden couple and light of my life, Anthony, waiting for them. Kate has got a bump. How has she started bumping in the 3 weeks since the engagement got announced?
I know, right?
Don't think about it too hard, Rita.
Yes,
It's
we
okay,
can't. We
deep
can't think
breaths.
about the timelines. No. No.
Anywho, Kate has been summoned by Violet to offer marital advice to Colin and Penelope because, she's noticed a rift. I'm not sure I would go for Anthony for advice, but anyway, he tries to deny the need for any such intervention, but the stench of booze is an obvious cry for help. Colin complains that he no longer feels he knows Penelope, and Kate instead tells him to focus on the many, many reasons she was so dear to him for so long. Whatever mistakes Penelope may have made cannot possibly negate their years of history. Given, advice of somebody who doesn't know the situation.
Yep.
Marriage takes hard work. But it is work that is worth it.
Our marriage is not hard work.
You are wearisome tonight. Or perhaps it is the hour. I will see you at the church tomorrow.
I drank a whole bottle before my wedding, the second wedding, and it was deeply celebratory. 3 raw eggs in the morning.
It's fair to say Anthony is not too worried. If he can overcome almost marrying his wife's sister, this is nothing.
No big whoop.
This is chill.
Yeah, you got this, man.
You ain't got real problems until you almost marry your wife's sister.
Yeah.
Over at Lady Danbury's, Marcus forces his sister to listen to him. Apparently, the night he betrayed her, he was only 10 years old, and he explains that he had no concept of what she was running away from. He did it because he was worried that for her safety out on the streets alone. In the 60-ish years since this incident, don't think about the timeline, I swear to God, Rita, it's fine. Stop thinking about it. He has apparently never broached the subject of his regret because he finds her intimidating, ? So there we go. Years of pain and distrust over within one conversation. Neatly wrapped in a little bow for you, everyone. Well done. Thanks for wasting my time.
Well, I mean, Lady Danbury intimidates me through a television screen. So I understand a tiny bit, but no,
She was too forgiving. Just one conversation and she was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Chill.
things are that was just way too easy to get over with. Over at the palace, Queen Charlotte is receiving the Tons tip-offs. They are
Tons
all
tip-off.
Yeah,
Tons
I'm saying that
tip-offs.
3 times fast.
It sounds
I
dirty.
can't. Yeah. They're all incredibly useless, and she looks increasingly frustrated. So instead, she turns to the pages of Whistledown herself for a clue, and by God, she has conveniently worked something out just in time for the climax of episode 7. But it's time for the wedding, folks. So here we go, wedding of the season, and everyone is gathered at the church, waiting to see if this one actually happens. Kate and Anthony are sat in their pew discussing how great their wedding was, which is so mean because we never got to see it. Dang it.
That's when I was like, I hate the whole writer's room. I hope they step on Lego. That's what I hope. How dare you?
When a classical cover of the Coldplay classic Yellow begins to play, it's showtime. A very anxious-looking Penelope walks down the aisle with her mother by her side. Colin gives her a little encouraging nod, and she finally relaxes and approaches the altar. The rest is all tedious wedding vows and clapping. You get it. Then it's time for the wedding breakfast, and Penelope is connect when she tells her mother she
You
is
said connect.
truly... Did I say connect? I meant correct. Sorry. When she tells her mother she has truly outdone herself. It's actually quite tasteful and lovely. The cake, the beautiful cake, with the family colors of blue and yellow, very tastefully done. Instead of it being
nice.
super
I was
garish and
impressed.
horrifying, and the in-law boys, Prudent
Oh, nice.
and oh God, the other one. Sorry,
Philippa.
Philippa. Their husbands are staring up at this beautiful cake like they're 3-year-olds at a wedding.
Me too. I was like, I want a slice.
Prudence even manages to pay Penelope a sincere compliment. It's all quite sweet and bizarre at the same time. Eloise is stuffing her face with food. Smart girl. Wow. And Benedict approaches, mentioning that he saw her crying at the ceremony, and reassures her that love is not finite and that her relationship with both Colin and Penelope will not be in competition with their love for each other. This happens to be a little bit of a light bulb moment for Benedict, as he suddenly realizes this is the core concept behind polyamory, and he apparently is down for it and leaves his brother's wedding celebrations to run off and have a threesome.
Who hasn't?
Well, these siblings are supposed to like one another, right?
Yeah, but
oh boy,
he wants to get it in.
I guess so. Well, let's cut to Kate and Anthony. They are talking about Edwina, who has recently gotten married and has miraculously decided she likes the outdoors. I'm not buying it, but it does get Kate chatting about the beauty of her homeland. Anthony is like, cool, let's go. Now, never mind that it's a 6-month journey, she's visibly pregnant, and they would never arrive in time for the birth of the baby. Mm-hmm. So they're going to have to give us a reason to have our dear beloved Anthony off screen for the next episode. So I suppose this is as convenient a one as they
No, not really. They could have just
no,
gone to Aubrey
no,
Hall
no.
like normal people.
Yeah, honestly. Well, Kate agrees with this, and so it is adieu, Anthony. Bye-bye. It's been bizarre.
Don't know where to start with that. Anyway, over with Cressida. She's packing her bags for Wales when a maid enters the room and offers her some tea. That's what you need when your life is falling apart. Cressida looks anxiously around at her and begs for help from the maid. And of course, she is like, yeah, sure, because she's more of a friend than Eloise. Sees somebody in need, tries to help them. Normal person. Anyway, back at the reception, Portia sees Penelope looking longingly over at Colin and goes to speak to her daughter and give her a little word of encouragement about marriage, etc. Penelope thanks her mother for not trying to meddle and for letting her resolve her own problems by herself, like an adult. Violet, please take note. This is how you handle situations usually. You don't just, hey, Anthony, can you bring your wife to come talk to Colin? No, that's not normal. Portia tells her that whatever the issue is, they will resolve it. The important thing is that they're married, and she can now say Violet is related to her, whether she likes it or not. Penelope,
in-laws,
emboldened, goes over to Colin and proposes that they dance together, and they do, to truly one of the worst songs that have ever graced humanity. You Belong With Me, an anthem for pick-me's who hate other women. She wears short skirts, I wear sneakers. I don't know. We all wear sneakers, honey. Anyway, their dance is thankfully interrupted by the entrance of one Miss Queen Charlotte, who enters the room and orders everyone who is not a Bridgerton to leave. The hall clears, except for, the Bridgertons, new Bridgerton Penelope, and for some reason, Lady Danbury, who just does whatever the fuck she likes now. Awkward. Charlotte quite vaguely announces one of them has a secret. They need to step forward and announce it immediately. I mean, I feel like she could have started with the whistle down thing, but anyway.
She is chewing up the scenery. Because it's what you do. when you're Queen of England.
No, it's not. I've watched The Crown. She's way more chill. Anyway, Penelope looks shit scared, but luckily for her, Franny has some balls on her, and she steps forward. Franny announces her engagement to Lord Kilmartin, like, this is my secret, this is my truth, and the Queen swats her away like an irritating fly. She been knew, it's not a secret. She's talking about Lady Whistledown, of course, and she knows that one of them must be the author because she was so quick to defend the Bridgertons. This is in complete contradiction to when she outed Eloise at the end of season 2, but okay, if you say so. Everyone looks anxiously at each other, and Colin throws a death glare at Penelope and obviously outs both of them, but, the Queen's not very smart. Anthony assures the Queen that no one is Whistledown in his household, thank you very much. He would have put a stop to it immediately, and my man can't even stop Eloise from macking on print press boys with dodgy hair. But, bless him. He really believes it, so let's just let him believe it. Just let him have this, okay?
He is the Viscount Bridgerton, by God, and he would know these things. Well, technically it hasn't been going on under your roof, but
might as well have.
We'll get to that later. Paulin go out into the hallway and they have another row. He tells her she must give up her column, for as long as she is Lady Whistledown, her secret hangs over his entire family. Penelope does not want to give up her life's work and tells him that this is a major part of her identity. Colin is like, well, I can't accept this choice, and now we are irrevocably at odds for the conclusion of this week's episode, and tells her he will be sleeping on the couch they broke instead of spending his wedding night with his wife.
Drama king.
Thank you very much. Penelope weeps and Eloise rushes in to hug her.
The boundaries did not even last the whole episode, did they?
I know. We then cut to Benedict having a threesome. After that, we see Cressida at the print shop. She is planning on running away and is seeking the payment for the Whistledown pamphlet she made. All 3 pounds of it. Anyway, because every little helps when you need to start a new life. Instead, the printer press helper boy, lad, whatever thing, tells her that his previous boss used to print the Whistledown column, and he heard Lady Whistledown was a redhead. Cressida's ears perk up, and she asks what else he heard. So it turns out all the Queen needed to do was to talk to a poor.
This is the easiest crime to be solved ever.
Yeah.
Don't get Sherlock Holmes on the case. He would laugh you out of town.
Yeah. Truly the dumbest of all possible conclusions. Thank God, end.
Oh, wow. So, I can tell by that reaction that you loved the episode, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No. No, this was a big old meh for me. Mainly about probably midway all the way to the end, getting more meh and meh as the time went on.
I kept checking my phone. I was like, is this still on? I'd rather be watching Instagram reels of puppies. This is...
Yeah, time is ticking. I got some cats to watch getting fed.
It's adorable.
No, I wound up rewatching the episode, right before we started to record the podcast today. And, it was, I didn't have any false illusions that it would be better than I remembered it.
Was it worse?
Yeah.
Because it's just boring.
Yeah.
I think it's not even that it's not even that it's it's not good. It's not that it's not
suspenseful.
Bad.
It's not,
it's just dull because it's the plot is not moving forward. I mean, there's no real character work because Colin still has the development of, I don't know, a gnat he's just a prop for whatever Penelope's going through at any moment.
Yeah.
And all of the attention of the show has been on the Whistledown plot it's like it's consumed the entire show for part 2. Like, part 1 was so much better because there was hardly any Whistledown nonsense to deal with, and everyone was busy doing normal things, and then now it's like completely consumed part 2. The cliffhanger for the episode 5 was Cressida being like, I am Lady Whistledown, and then the cliffhanger is I am she. And then the cliffhanger was Colin finding out that she's Lady Whistledown for the previous episode. Then we got this cliffhanger, which is just more nonsense Lady Whistledown stuff. It's just nobody's watching this show for Lady Whistledown.
It is just omnipresent, and taking us further and further away from the romance of Colin and Penelope, and it's painful. It's painful. I have had the chance to start listening to the book in preparation for our book club, and I'm not going to say anything about what's happening, yada yada yada, that kind of thing. But I think it is going the book club. And I'm not doing this to like pimp the book club either, but the book club is going to be a fascinating look at what could have been for this season. But
I remember in
no more.
Season 1, the original showrunner, who was actually good at his job, gave an interview of how like he created this show when he was imagining the look and the feel and the dynamic of the show. He was saying he wanted to create on screen the feeling of reading a romance novel, of the excitement and the passion and all of those things that you get from reading a romance novel. And it didn't necessarily have to be like page for page an adaptation of The Duke and I. He just wants to give you the same sensation. That is absolutely not the case in season 3. It doesn't feel anything like a romance novel. There's not enough focus on the romance. It just it feels like I feel like they keep going, you know what, we're going to show you Penelope walking down the aisle and like tedious play-by-play as they say their vows, and that's going to make up for the complete lack of any good storytelling with Colin and Penelope. It's like watching the boring parts of the romance novel is what we want. Like, there's a reason people skip over the wedding in a romance novel. It's because the vows are not that interesting. Watching them dance for like 3.5 minutes, I'm sure people love that, but I want them to be the focus of the story, not just given vapid little on-screen moments together. Yeah. Anyway.
So
the wedding itself, what did you think? Like, beautiful?
Yes, beautiful. I appreciated the fact that Penelope's dress was not white.
Barely.
Huh?
Barely. Off-white. Off-white
It was
white.
No, it was a really pretty like shell pink.
Yes, it's off-white. That is what a normal person would look at.
It wasn't like the blinding white that we got with Daphne's wedding. Or Edwina's wedding.
But it's still off-white, babes. Like, you would go in a shop and see shades of white, and they would give you that. What I'm saying is, you could go into a bridal shop, okay, and that would be an option. They do blush dresses, like everyone knows that, because it goes better with some people's skin tones.
But
like, I couldn't put it off, but like, good for her, I guess. You're just you're gonna take the small win, and you're gonna be like, "Yay, it's not white."
I am. It was not technically. It was not white.
This technicality is a win.
But I thought the wedding was beautiful. And
I love the church.
Oh,
I was kind of like, bitch, that church is bigger than the one Anthony had that was thrown by the Queen. She didn't shell out for the for much
No, I mean they had a freaking choir. You know,
turns out
singing
Portia,
at the prelude.
Portia knows how to throw a wedding. Can she be my wedding planner?
For reals.
Did you see the arches? The yellow and yellow and blue.
The yellow and blue. Yes.
Yeah, and the flowers. She went all out.
It was amazing.
She was
just amazing.
Too busy planning that wedding to give a shit about what was going on with Colin and Penelope, and I understand why, because that was impressive. Yes. That was
I mean, the line that she says, where I was busy planning the wedding. The wedding wasn't going to plan itself. I didn't have time to meddle.
I love that.
Seriously, we see that you had.
You were busy.
You had your mind on other things.
Oh, God, the cake as well. I love that she put the yellow and the blue together, and the yellow was on top.
Of course.
Of course. I love that.
I mean, she's Penelope Featherington. So even though they were marrying into the Bridgerton family, she's
a Featherington event.
Not going front. She is.
What I found annoying was Lady Violet and Lady Danbury throwing mad shade at the size of the wedding breakfast. They were just so bitter. At every opportunity they've had, Violet be like, "Oh my God, this is so ostentatious and grand," and I'm like, "I have seen your events, honey." Yeah.
It's like pot is calling the kettle black. Thank you. You just need to sit your behind down.
The size of the wedding reception she threw Daphne and Simon. The fucking Queen of England was invited to her wedding reception, and she's like, "Oh, it's so tacky. It's just too big." When Lady Danbury and Violet get like that, they just come across as bitchy and mean-spirited. They're like the mean girls that are like, "Oh, we don't associate with the Featheringtons because they're just so tacky." And I'm like, I've seen your parties. Don't even. I mean, you're not better than that.
Yeah, we get to see Lady Danbury's ball every season, and it is always
so over the top.
I really thought that the wedding breakfast was lovely. And like I mentioned in the podcast, the two men, Prudent and Philippa's husbands, staring up at the cake like they were 3-year-olds. I mean, I want to imagine that the screen direction that they got for that scene was just stare up at the cake like you're 3 years old, because they were both just like,
It's such a big cake and nobody cut it.
Oh yeah,
I love that they just had food floating around everywhere. That's why I was so impressed by Eloise being the only person to eat the food, because I was like, that looks sensational.
Yes.
And we know.
Yeah, we all need to be diving into this shit.
The cook is so much better than everyone's. So, you go, sis.
Well, and we have to give massive credit to Varley, of course, who, did all the heavy lifting when it comes to any kind of party prepping for that family. But yeah. Varley hit it out of the park. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna have to talk about all the various storylines, and there were so many.
And there are a lot of them.
So many. I mean, I want to talk about Pollen first, because I really struggled with their scenes this episode. I guess because I was actually looking forward to this particular part of the story where Colin finds out and he feels all betrayed, because, I live for the drama. And, if there's some conflict to tackle between these two, then I feel like the actors finally get something to sink their teeth into, other than just being like, "Oh, Penelope, you're so beautiful and I loved you." Finally, conflict. Okay, and I'm an ex slut. So I was braced, I was ready. I was like, oh, this is an opportunity to do some character building for Colin and delve into how he thinks and how he perceives their relationship and his sense of betrayal and all this shit that he had with Marina in the previous seasons, and just none of that happened. What we got in this was just everything felt so rushed, and I felt like I never really got to sit in any of Colin's emotions or his reaction. They had to rush him through being angry, then he was okay, then they were kissing, and then he was like happy at the wedding, and then he was angry again. It's just like 6 different things to get through, and poor Luke Newton, I could really see him trying to make it emotional and to work, but the editing was just like, boy, bye, we're leaving you.
Yeah.
It's just so disappointing.
The eight episode format for these shows, it no longer works when you have all of these additional storylines that you're trying to pack into the story. It's like if we look through the 11 billion storylines that we have listed here, what is really needed? The Modriches? No. The whole Benedict and his struggle bus? No. Let's see. The Lady Danbury and her brother? No.
Violet and her brother, and Lady Danbury's brother? No.
No. So, that's what, 4? I think 4 out of the 8.
I mean,
that we have listed.
I could make a good argument for it. Like, I'd enjoyed the Franny and John stuff. It could have waited another season.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
because we don't even have Franny and John listed in the list.
Because they didn't really do anything. They were just extras this episode.
Yeah. So there's all of this going on, and that takes away from the time that could have been used to help us navigate the whole up and down we had with Paul.
You're waiting seasons, 3 seasons, and 4-ish years of my life waiting to find out how Colin is going to react to this revelation, and then you're like, cool, it's been 2 minutes, on to the next shit.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to be disappointed.
It is really super disappointing. And I know that they add all of this other stuff in for drama, but it's unnecessary drama. This story has enough drama.
There's drama between the main couple. Like, we're here for the couple. We're here for this is a romance. This is not a show where I have to... All of the other stuff, the siblings and that's all added seasoning to the story. It's not the main meal.
I
hate it.
I really think that, when it comes to the performances, I think that Luke and Nicola have so much to give these characters. And we saw glimpses. Yeah, we saw glimpses of some really beautiful stuff. The scene where the Queen comes in and is basically saying, anyone who's not a Bridgerton, get out. She leaves, and you see Penelope walking out the door, and Colin, catches her and says, Penelope, you're a Bridgerton now. And, there's still this kind of sense of shock on her face that, this is really happening. And then as the Queen is like spinning up the whole, someone in here has a secret, blah, 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 blah. And the shots that they keep sending over to Nicola showing the panic that she was having. And then the instant when Franny says, it's me, and Nicola is about to speak, and you see her take the breath, and then it's like, because Franny steps up. I thought that was just amazing to see just how frantic she was, and how it carried across on the film. It would have been really nice if she didn't have an inch of blush on her cheeks.
Don't even get me started on her wedding makeup.
An inch of blush on her cheeks. Oh my God. But yeah, and the scene where, Colin is, confronting Penelope, at the beginning, and, all those lies you told, the crying.
The crying happened. Here's the thing.
That he was doing. That was...
I wanted to be moved because he was giving it his all, but I didn't feel fucking anything watching those scenes. I was just like...
Oh!
Because the editing, it kept cutting away. He's giving it this everything, and the editing just does never linger on anybody's expression long enough for you to connect with them. And it's like, why do they not think we can focus on anything for longer than 2 seconds? To make a scene powerful, you've got to be in the moment with these actors, and they are cutting away, and I didn't feel anything. It felt like play by play. And editing the podcast, I can hear there's so many jump cuts in that conversation they have when he's talking to her about Lady Whistledown for the first time. Like, I would like to have seen how that scene originally played out before they cut it to a minute and a half. Like, I bet you that scene was much longer and better, and these actors were giving it their all, and they've cut it to within an inch of its life. And I'm always complaining that, the show's too long, don't have it go over an hour, but that doesn't mean cut out the good stuff.
Right.
Why are they cutting that out and leaving a 4-minute long walking down the aisle scene? Who needed that?
It means if you're going to make it an hour, make that hour count, and give us what is going to move the story forward, and not at the speed of light. Thank you. Sure, we all watch Reels and TikTok and the Instagram and all that kind of stuff. And so, our attention spans have gotten much shorter than they were, even 5 years ago. But you know something? We're smart enough to be able to pay attention for longer than a minute when you've got something that is that good to watch.
Again, why did we need that whole dancing scene to go on for so long? Why are you cutting dialogue so that we can get twirling? That doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Their priorities are just completely wrong. They're not reinforcing the storyline. They're just going for the aesthetics most of the time.
Because, think about it. How much we were gushing over costumes and dance and all that kind of stuff in the first season. And it's because all of those things were great.
Yeah, but they were enhancing the storyline that was there.
Exactly. It's not
a replacement for a lack of any substance, which is what they're trying to do now.
Exactly. It was, it did not take away from the substance of the storytelling. And, so, God, there are going to be a whole lot of people who are like, y'all are a buzzkill.
Look, I love the way it feels to be a hater, as the song goes. Actually, not a hater about Penelope and Eloise. I was not an Eloise hater this week. I was quite impressed with her. I thought the way she put up boundaries with Penelope was healthy and super mature from her. And I like that Penelope was like, you know what? I respect that from you, and went and spoke to Genevieve instead. I was like, this is good. People making good choices so that they can sustain their relationship.
Exactly.
To this day, I don't really understand why Genevieve and Penelope are friends, because outside of their business partnership, they have nothing in common. But I can't complain when women are actually allowed to be friends. This would not pass the Bechdel test because all they did was talk about Colin. That was God depressing.
Oh, Lord.
But that scene was nice. And I thought Penelope's you know, she needs someone that listens to her whine about Colin, and it shouldn't be Eloise. That's really awkward. I also like that Eloise, her reaction to the wedding and her crying. I mean, we'll get into how I completely missed that because I was staring at her wig, but I know that it happened because Benedict told me, and that is such a like normal reaction you have to your best friend getting married. That feeling of like, oh, you're happy, but you're also heartbroken because it means like their life changing means your life's gonna change, and that's
there's going to be a fundamental change in your relationship with one another.
And I think that's like, it's such a monumental life moment for Eloise, and it was nice to see that on screen and that they acknowledged that that was happening. And it was nice for me not to leave an episode being like, I want her gone. I was just like, relatable queen went to a wedding party. Sat in the corner, well, not stood in the corner and ate some food. Felt a bit sad.
But I'm in complete agreement with you about the Penelope Eloise chemistry this week. I thought it was mature, you know, and it was like, okay, here's a situation. I can't help you. I appreciate that. I understand. I think it is the main reason why, at the end of the episode, we see Eloise, freely embrace Penelope, to give her comfort, when Colin goes to get their carriage, and Penelope is kind of like
weeping.
Holy shit. What the hell is happening here? So, I 10 out of 10 loved what they did with those characters this week.
The Cressida. The Cressida in the background, though. Like, I still think.
Yeah.
It is funny that they set up the Cressida Eloise relationship as like, Eloise is going to teach Cressida about the importance of relying on other women and sisterhood, and then Eloise completely abandons her, and Cressida is all alone, and she has to fight for her existence, really, at this point.
Yeah, and you also see that Cressida had her mother's help and assistance.
Didn't go very well.
To write the column and all that kind of stuff. But when the news breaks that she's not Whistledown, and she gets back home, her father's absolutely pissed at her, and Lady Crowley has to leave, and for a logical reason that she is also sent out to Wales, then there was no way they were gonna either of them would wind up.
Can she?
Yeah. Exactly.
I like that she at least took the time to explain that to her daughter, so it doesn't look, I would love to help you.
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, I hate the husband and you're more important to me. But,
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's the reason why I can't do anything for you right now except to hang on to what I can, so that I will have a toe up to possibly bring you back once things simmer down.
I mean, it's another example of a mother being actually good at helping their child. Much better than Violet. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's thinking logically, and she's thinking strategically of like, okay, short-term plan, you go into hiding. Long-term plan, I'm going to work on your father to try and get you back in society. Because one of us needs to
maybe
survive
he'll
this.
die in the meanwhile,
Exactly.
and then he'll be out of the way, and we can get you back.
Maybe I can poison him or something. Who knows?
Yeah, she is working the strategies to be able to bring her daughter back, and it then leaves Cressida to go, okay, I need to depend on myself now.
I don't think that's a terrible message, by the way. The way the show is like, oh no, she pits herself against women, and I'm like, yeah, that might be bad, but also every woman she's ever met has betrayed her at this point.
Yeah.
Like,
so
look at what happened with Daphne in season 1. Like, stole Friedrich away from her just because she was fighting with Simon. And then she was left heartbroken and alone. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
And then there was Penelope who came along and stole away the one man she had a chance with to escape her impending marriage to Lord Voldemort. And Penelope wasn't interested in that dude either. Like, this is a pattern from Cressida.
Yeah. So
at this point,
you know,
I also love that they've spent all season calling her stupid and being like, "Oh, she's not smart enough to be Lady Whistledown. She's the first one that figures it out. So fuck you all." If I were her, I'd just like enter the room like, "Fuck you all. I know who Lady Whistledown is, and you don't."
Yeah. Although when the print shop,
it was easy.
Thing says, that. It was his understanding that she was a redhead. It's like, wait a second. The person that showed up at the print shop was an Irish maid.
Yeah, I think I understand from that is that nobody in the working class believes that. They see through. It's like, Penelope, you're showing up in full glam. And with the world's most luxurious cloak. They're all like, okay, nod, wink, wink. It's the maid. Okay. The maid could afford that luxurious cape. Okay, if you say so.
Yeah.
I think like the working class are just like going along with it, and they're all talking about it behind her back. She's like, I love all the scenes of Penelope this season being like, she's too smart, she'll never be caught, and it's just the easiest thing to find out about.
Well, if you talk to a poor, you'll find out. Yeah. If you just talk amongst yourselves.
Eloise wasn't talking to the correct pause is what was happening. She got distracted by Dick and should have kept talking to more pause. This is another story of how men will distract you. Stay in your lane.
Stay focused. Stay focused.
Speaking of, what's annoying about the Queen's Mission is that we've had 3 seasons, a spin-off, and never have they ever had a compelling argument as to why she is obsessed with Whistledown. Like, I can kind of, after seeing Queen Charlotte, understand why she would meddle with the matchmaking of the Ton, even though it's dumb. Because I think it's like a version of social engineering and making alliances between, like, black people and white people and making sure that her family stays in power, her biracial family. Her family are very confusing to me because sometimes they don't look biracial. But that's her legacy, and she's trying to keep society mixed, basically. But Whistledown, it takes up a large amount of her time.
Yes,
it seems to be the only thing she's focusing on. She is obsessed, and I don't understand why. I think if you're gonna make this the major plot point of 3 fucking seasons, explain to me what the appeal is. And don't write in letters to the editor with all of your fan theories, because I don't want fan theories. I want it on screen. Okay?
Yes.
Because I can imagine some bullshit in my head, but that doesn't mean that it's legitimate. Because that's how we get theories like, oh, Franny's neurodivergent. It's like, that's a headcanon. Keep that to yourself. I want it on screen before I announce it to the world, okay?
Yeah, I have grown weary of this obsession that the Queen has. Because, okay, then what does that mean? We don't need the Queen running around in the next series. Honestly.
But the point is that she could be an interesting person to keep around. And
that's true.
Again, like I say, meddling in people's love lives makes sense for her because of what I just said. Yeah. Whistledown has never made sense. Her obsession with Whistledown has always been something they arbitrarily picked up in season 1 and then just kept running with it because they didn't know where else to take it.
Oh, God.
The writing is so bad. It's crazy
maddening.
making.
Yeah, it's maddening. And, I quite frankly don't need to talk anymore about Queen C. Quite frankly.
You've got to next week. Because I still,
I know.
My theory about her saving the day is always correct. She comes in at the last moment and she waves her little magic wand and she's like,
yep.
Okay,
I am on board with that theory. I'm
it's
definitely
the only one that
on
makes
board with that
sense,
theory.
really.
It's the only one that's really going to do anything. Canthony, they were sweet.
I mean, yes, but the choice to make them go to India when she's this pregnant already is bonkers.
is absurd.
Is the writing room just collectively made out of people who hate logic? Like they're allergic to it?
Yeah, because I remember the first time I watched the episode and saw that scene, I remember literally going, "What?"
Yes.
I literally shouted, "What?" at the TV screen, because it's like they're being so proud about her having her bump and, the whole 9 yards. And it's like, well, why don't we go there now? And it's like, first of all, this is not like you can go, you can't just go to Heathrow and jump on a plane and get there right now.
I mean,
Anthony.
Even today, you wouldn't fly that far when you were that pregnant. The fact that they're going to get on a fucking ship for that long is bonkers. Especially because everybody who ever made that journey got some kind of illness. This is fucking insane. And it doesn't align with Anthony's extreme concern for Kate's safety that we saw in the previous season. It's illogical. It makes the characters dumb. And they have, if you're going to write the characters off, go ahead, but do it in a way that doesn't make me question if you're even conscious when you're writing these scripts. Because that was
Are
so
you paying
stupid.
attention? Are you paying any attention to what that means? Going to India, what does that mean?
Just have them fuck off to the countryside because she's in confinement with her pregnancy. You know? That's a normal way of dealing with them needing to be off screen for the next episode or for the next season. I'm not really clear. I don't know if they're coming back next season. Quite frankly, their scenes are cute, but they're not exactly an active participant in the narrative anymore, are they? Yeah. All their scenes are just cute. They talk to each other. It's nice. I love it. They have great chemistry, but they could completely be edited out of the show and it would affect absolutely nothing. So just write them off in a way that doesn't make me scream, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Okay. Because that was some of the dumbest things I've ever seen. That was so dumb. It was just, okay, don't have her get pregnant, okay? And then have them go to India. Or have her get pregnant and have her go in confinement. You can't do both. Literally just... oh my God. It's so dumb.
Ain't no way to get there without spending some really hazardous time. Hazardous travel time.
That's what every heavily pregnant woman wants to deal with. A long sea voyage where you have no access to any fruit or vegetables. Fun!
Yes, when we see them coming back from the countryside and Kate is newly pregnant, we see her in the coach,
feeling
the really
nauseous.
super expensive coach, getting nauseous. Yeah, ramp that up a few billion times.
6 months on a boat, And also, not to get into the weeds with this, but I absolutely will. There was only a few times of the year that you could make this journey because of the wind, and it's the complete wrong time of year. They can absolutely fuck off with all of it. Not that they care. I mean, at this point, it's fair to say we hate it. Anyway, Benedict, number 3 and number 4. Benjamin, oh no, his name is Benedict. Ben, you kissed a boy, you liked it, congrats. Yeah. I think the problem with this storyline is that if he's kissing a boy or if he's kissing a woman, I don't care. It's just, I don't think it matters. And also, with his characterization, he was already the outsider among the family. He hung out with dressmakers. He went to orgies. He was the painter. Him fucking a man doesn't make him any different. He's
No, uh, no. I do like when you were putting the recap together and talking about how, he expresses basically the building blocks of polyamory when he's talking to Eloise. And he has that aha moment. That is, polyamory is not for everybody. And it can be a massive struggle for people who are experimenting with it. You have to have your shit together in order to be able to survive a healthy polyamory relationship. And so I don't think that that's what the show is like pushing for people to become polycules all over the place.
It's a weird thing for them to inject into a show that is entirely about monogamous relationships and finding one person. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It feels completely at odds with also what Benedict actually is going through, which is he's not really that. I don't think threesomes are the problem because he's had a threesome before. Like he's it's fine. He's currently just sort of struggling with his sexuality, so I found that incongruous. I was like, that's not his issue here. His issue is not that he's unaware of how to have sex with two people at the same time.
The mechanics.
He's it's old hat for him. Apparently all of the Bridgertons are into it. But it was like, this is a moment that doesn't feel like that's not what he's struggling with. But it was the easiest way that they could round... Why am I saying round the hole? But it's square, whatever the problem is, they were just like, we need to get this peg in there somehow. Yes. I don't know why I'm doing gestures. So let's just say this is the issue, even though it's not. Yeah. And then you can see a threesome. Bish, bash, boom. Done.
Yeah. And Benedict is struggling with his identity. Okay, we got it. Next.
Even though, again, I don't feel like it's that much of an identity shift for him because he was always the orgy guy. He didn't.
Yeah, but I think the his participation in the whole orgy thing was, he was with two women.
So he
this
could
time
still pretend he's straight even though he's watching lesbian sex.
Yeah, this time he's had this encounter with number 4 who has made him think twice. And so
that's why that whole thing didn't make any sense then. That's not what the conflict is.
Yeah, I am honestly wondering what in the world they're going to do for his story. If they do his story at all.
Oh, I don't... Hands up. I don't know that I care at this point.
Yeah, it's like... I know that there are so many people that are absolutely in love with the character of Benedict and that kind of thing, and
I feel like I understand that for season 1, but season 2 and 3 he's been just annoying me. He's just a presence that sort of lingers in the background.
He's just been a ship unmoored and just drifting around and bumping into experiences. And, Colin is always talking about how, he doesn't really know who he is or what he wants and, blah, 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 blah. Well, he's definitely got a better grasp on what he wants to do than Benedict.
I think Benedict has had a grasp on what he wanted, which is an artist's life. And then they just sort of went...
They just dropped that.
Let's unmoor him for no reason. Yeah. Let's never explain why, or it's just a complete mess. And I think... I read a quote from the current showrunner who was like, well... Benedict is such a fan favourite that we decided that we didn't want to have him get married so soon. We wanted to keep him in the show for as long as possible. So we're just going to have him fuck around for seasons. And it's like, okay, you're making everyone hate him by doing this. Like, because this is tedious. and it's boring to watch. Like, I can't watch another fucking threesome. Like, I didn't think threesomes could be so unsexy. It's just,
yeah.
I can only describe it as tedious. Like, it's not something that I even pay attention to on screen, or I remotely think like, ooh, titillating, sexy, scandalous. I'm just like, okay, 3 people having sex, fantastic.
I fast forwarded. I mean, I don't think I have watched any of those scenes since the first, maybe second time I've watched the episode.
That's why you're not
just
as
because
annoyed
it's
by
like,
it as
okay,
me.
I've got things to do, and I've got to edit where I can, and this is where I can. Thank you. So yeah.
Speaking of tedious, the Modriches, their main problem is that they're popular. Cry me a river and don't show up in the show ever again because I don't care.
I really wish they had a deeper meaning to their storyline. Because
would you actually watch...
no. Let me say, I wish they had some like a deeper meaning behind this, because where we are right now is just really pissing me off that we wasted all of that time in the earlier episodes of the show.
Do you think that if it was compelling, it would make up for it?
Yes. If there was somewhere they were going to go with this, instead of having them standing around being recognized by all these people, and wanting to be, with them because, they're tight with the queen and, all this other kind of bullshit, then it would have made the time that they spent earlier in the season worthwhile. But if this is all they're going to do, then, fuck you.
I think earlier in the season we discussed how worried we were that they were basically just around to be a box ticking exercise.
Yes.
And I think that those fears have been well founded, because they have done nothing and they have contributed nothing. And
that is what is pissing me off about, all of this now.
I think that might also be at the heart of what's going on with Benedict's storyline as well. They're like, well, we need to make people more gay. Like, this show is too straight. Quick, let's make Benedict gay, even though it's leading nowhere and it has nothing to do with any of the narratives at play. And that's why it feels so untethered to any other reality. It's untethered from even the previous seasons of his own storyline. It's like, okay... And that's what we're getting. And, I'm not one of those people who complains about shows being too woke. That has never been my jam. I don't have a problem with that. But if you're going to have these storylines, don't do it to tick boxes. Actually give people good representation and something to enjoy in the storytelling. You'd never
something
have...
purposeful. Something purposeful.
Have a white family just move in on Bridgerton and be there.
In the background,
and oh no, this white family is too popular. You would never get that on Bridgerton. So to have the black family doing it feels like it's low key a little racist.
It's just I am feeling less and less enthusiastic about the Monsters.
We still have an episode left. Come on, Michelle. Lady Danbury and her brother. What the fuck was the point of this whole storyline?
Well, they needed to have someone for Violet's character to click with.
But why did Lady Danbury have to hate it?
Yeah, creating this little bit of, drama is their way of going, okay, see, there's a lesson to be learned here. Ta-da!
What's the lesson?
Communicate, shrug. I don't know. I think that, for the amount of anger that she had for her brother, for, being the one to kind of thwart her plans to escape this horrible marriage that she was going to be walking into, I would think that it would take more than a 5-minute conversation
of course
to deal with.
But then I don't think the show gives a shit, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, I
it,
don't know what they pulled this storyline out of their asses or something, because it doesn't align with anything we saw in Queen Charlotte or the previous seasons. And this guy just shows up and she's like, well, I hate you. Okay. If she wants to hate her brother, I don't care. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's just...
It's such a waste of this amazing actress. Like, what the fuck was this? This was her storyline this season?
I think that this is an answer to the questions that came up about having a white couple as the lead couple for this season. And so they're bringing in diversity wherever they can to try and offset that, which, quite frankly, that was never a problem for me. It was never a problem for me. Why not have there be a white couple at the center of this season? Does everything have to wind up interracial on this show? No.
I just think if you're going to do this, do a better job. Like,
yes.
Again, it feels more racist to be like, we're gonna just stick these black people in the background having like E, D, and G plots that don't go anywhere and that don't get them to show off any of their skills as actors. Because, like, what the fuck have Will and Alice been doing all season that would even It's not acting, really. They just show up and they stand in the background at this point. It feels...
It's just maddening. It's so maddening. And frustrating. So, yeah. It's hard for me. It's hard for me to watch those scenes.
Just give one black person a good storyline.
And
not like 17 storylines to all these different people that are all bad.
Yeah. I mean, I am grateful that they brought the Earl of Kilmartin onto the show.
Yes, why didn't they just have him be their diversity casting of the season?
Thank you, because there's all kinds of meaty stuff for that character to do, and it would make perfect and total sense. And we wouldn't need to have all of this offshoot stuff. I'm sure that...
Because he's having this whole storyline where it ticks the diversity box that they're apparently desperate to fill. But it also doesn't feel like one of the choose your own adventure side plots that we have going on, because it actually intersects with obviously Franny and Colin and Penelope, because they have... it's just... that feels like it's purposeful and it's leading somewhere, and it's just, it works in a way that all this other shit doesn't.
Yeah, it could have been easily woven into the storyline in conjunction with what was going on with Paulin and all of that kind of stuff, and it wouldn't have required a whole lot of, crazy backstory like, oh, yeah, you've got an aunt who is a member of the peerage, and she died, and so your son is now the Lord of Kent, and so y'all are moving on up to the east side.
This
that kind of thing.
Character that we've known about for like four years and have seen in many, many seasons, she's got this brother you've never heard of. And by the way, when they were children, this thing happened. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's like, okay, wow. Backstory.
Fun. Great. Colin hasn't said anything in 45 minutes, but we've got this elaborate backstory to deal with. Okay, fun.
Yeah. Ugh, Lord.
And this bleeds into the relationship that Violet and what's-his-name have. Because
Violet's in bloom.
Please stop.
I've been listening to a bunch of Prince lately, and so when
there's
doves,
a Prince song
when
for
doves
everything,
cry,
I'm convinced. Oh my
yeah.
God. Yeah, so this sort of bleeds into Violet's relationship with what's his name, because when he was first introduced, I was like, oh, I see some spark there. This could be fun. And then over the course of the season, I've grown less and less interested in him, and I would gladly have him shoved off screen right now if I could. And I also find it so ironic that she's pushing for this epic love story between John and Franny, and she's serving up like cold soup in her love story with this guy, because there's like been 5 episodes where he just shows up at her house and she goes, yeah, maybe one day I'll pay you attention, but I'm really busy right now. Could you come back later? And the next episode he tries to talk to her again. She's like, still busy. Bye. And like, this is good enough for you, but you're being like super passive aggressive with Franny and John. Okay, if you say so, huh? Don't like it, don't ship it, not interested in this continuing next season, and quite frankly, I'm completely baffled at the thought that anybody wants to see these two in a romantic connection, because at this point, the man it's not his fault, it's not the actor's fault, but he's a nuisance. He's a burden. Get him off the show. When he showed up in that drawing room this episode, I was just like, fuck's sake.
Oh, God.
Really?
Well, you know, we had to have her have the moment where she's staring at his mouth and going, oh,
She can be sexually awakened in her own time, not my time, please.
We got pollen to deal with, okay, Violet?
Not.
Jeez. Okay. Do we have any favorite scenes from this episode?
I will say I really enjoyed the scene where Kate was giving advice to Colin, because of Simone Ashley's performance. I think she just has this quality of like charisma, and she is able to make the dumbest of storylines work, because she's giving some profoundly benign advice, and it's not very useful to Colin, but it still manages to come across as very wise, and you're just like, oh, yes, Kate. And like the way he flung himself into her arms, I was like, Kate, please save this episode, please. And she did.
Yeah, I thought that, it was another opportunity to see the chemistry between, Kate and Anthony, and just the way they play off one another. When she finally says, you're wearisome tonight. It was like, oh my God, I love these two. Yay. And I would beg to differ on the information and advice that she was giving to Colin, because she was making some really good points that, everybody has stories and mistakes and things that they've done that they wish they hadn't done. But,
I just found it too generic. I was like, okay, I understand what you're saying, but this is a very specifically weird issue that he's having.
Well, and she was
you can't even
it,
imagine
because,
it.
But see, she was just like, it's none of our business. We don't need to know what all is going on.
Of her. You could see Anthony being like, no, tell me.
Yes, we do. But it's like, we don't need to know what's going on. Obviously you have cared for Penelope for all this time. Has what has happened come in any way, shape, or form between the two of you, so that it would wind up negating the relationship that you've had with her up to this point?
Yeah, it's just a basic advice about perspective, isn't it? It's like, what's more important here? Your relationship with Penelope, or being bitter about this issue you have? And when it comes right down to it, we know what he is struggling with, and why this is such a problem for him, Yeah, like the problem is that if I was Colin, I would be like, I don't know that I would come to the same conclusion that he did. I would come to the conclusion of, yes, this does fucking change the relationship because she's been lying to me for 3 years and I don't really know her. That's the thing. It's like, the thing that annoys me about this episode is that the conflict here is so rich and so deep, and it's if I was Colin, it would take me much longer than just a few minutes to get over it.
Yes.
And, like, the way they were just like, well, you love her, so it's okay. It's like, no. They need to talk about all the different layers of hurt here, because it's not just that she's Lady Whistledown, it's that she's wrote about Marina. She's written about him. She's written about Eloise, or people he loves. It's also the fact that he doesn't really know a huge aspect of her life. There's the stuff about his writing, and the fact that he feels embarrassed and compared to her work, and then there's like this, it's multifaceted, and then they're giving me shallow nonsense of, well, you love her. It's like, okay,
and he's like, well, yeah, I do.
Here's 17 reasons why this hurts me, but you love her. Okay.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, you know, yeah.
But then again, the scene was good. I thought the acting was really good. Yeah. And I loved that it ended with Anthony being like, have some raw eggs, you'll be fine, bruv. Yes.
You know, I drank a whole bottle the night before my wedding, the second wedding.
Like, the way they kept referring to the second wedding was honestly hostile. Oh yeah, they had all this. They had this wedding. You'll never see it.
Yeah.
I hate you.
Arg.
Least favorite.
Okay. Oh God.
I have opinions, so I think it might actually be that whole lecture that we got from number 3 about how society's expectations of the way they do this, and like if this was a scene that happened completely out of context with the rest of the show, that would be a very good scene, because I do believe it's quite well written and performed well and blah blah blah. But this is literally a lesson that Benedict learned in season 1 when he was hanging around with Henry Granville and learning about homosexuality, and it's like, this is just a less compelling version of the exact same thing that we've already seen. And it's just a message that we don't need reiterating, especially not for Benedict, Mr. Lives outside society all the time, thank you very much. Like, this was, it was long, it was boring, and it was a point they have hammered home a billion times. I felt like it also got a bit preachy, because I was like, this feels like the show is talking to its audience and saying, you better accept that he's gay. And I was like, babes, that's not the issue here. I just want it to be more interesting.
Yeah.
That scene sucks. I also didn't like, it's completely not, there's this line that Penelope says when she's talking to Colin. They're having that whole argument after the Queen was trying to out her, and he's like, hey, so you should stop being Lady Whistledown now. And she turns to him and she says, like, well, you would say that because you're a man, you have no idea what it's like to stifle your dreams and ambitions. And I was like, okay, but last season was basically, the theme of season 2 was about the way in which the patriarchy stifles the men in the ton, and how, you know, Anthony's hopes and dreams were all eroded by suddenly becoming the head of his household, and and the responsibility he felt, and the way that it completely crushed him as a human person. He was completely repressed and crushed all his hopes and dreams to find a love match, and how, you know, he took on the responsibilities of becoming, as I'm explaining the season, I'm like, oh, that's so much more compelling than anything we've got this season. But anyway, so the whole of season 2 was about the complexities of the patriarchy, and how, you know, it's not just about suppressing women, it suppresses the men as well. And then we have this scene in season 3 that it's like, you're a man, you can do anything you like, everything's great for you. I'm a woman and everything sucks for me, which is such an unnuanced take on what they were previously serving on Bridgerton. It's now become very simplified, and I want to say stupid. Like, they have to point out things to us as viewers to be like, did you know that patriarchy's bad? Oh, but you know, if you're a man, you can do anything you like, and freedom, and yay. And that's not what they've been showing us previously. And so it just pissed me off, because I was like, the writing used to not need to do this shit.
Yeah.
They understood that the audience knows what the society is and what the expectations are. But now they're having to spell everything out to us like we're 5.
Yeah. I think this all comes down to the fact that, you know, we haven't had the opportunity to work through the whole whistle down thing in a way that would have gotten us to kind of spin through some of these things before the big reveal or something along those lines. You know, we're having to basically go, okay, everybody, you know, it's like, it's known Penelope's whistle down, and now she's going to have her season. How is this going to work out with Colin? And so we're having to do this Reader's Digest condensed version of this reveal and the impact that it has on the couple. And they're having to make ham-fisted arguments like that in order to get a point, to get a point across, which could have been done much more gracefully. So, yeah.
It's also a point that they have previously made much better in season 1. It's like just so lame. It is like, not even that I disagree that women obviously have less opportunities, but the idea that Colin's out here gallivanting, having the time of his life, being able to make any choice he wants is just not true either. It's like the show is not interested in any of the nuances that made it interesting. It just wants to be a soap opera at this point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So let's
that hurt. But yeah. That hurt, but I'm agreeing with it. So anyway, so it's time for
Can we wig talk? We're talking wigs, baby. Can we wig talk? Baby. Talk about wig growing.
You said you had some thoughts about wigs this week, so.
Oh God, so many thoughts. So I actually have some screenshots that I'm going to show you so that you can understand.
So I can react?
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, so her wedding hair. Look at the weird little cowlick, coiffy, and then all the little curls. I'm tired of having these, like, glued onto her face.
Yeah.
Curl things. The little one, the tiny little baby one makes me want to bath. Tired of looking. Just pull her hair away from her fucking face. I'm so tired of this look. She's getting cartoon character-y in the sense that her hair always has to be the fucking same, and nobody does that with their hair. Like, no human hair has ever done that. You know what I thought when I was looking at this week was, are they trying to cover the hairline of the wig? Because that's the only explanation for...
I mean, yeah, that would be my thinking, you know, the whole baby hair situation that they're trying to do.
Hair. It's just insane.
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad. Now, how about Eloise's hair? What was it that was annoying you on that? Oof.
So let's look at the dead thing on Eloise's head.
Oh, God. That really looks horrible. Oh, my God.
Right. This is the moment. This is the emotional moment where she's crying as she sees her friend walking down the aisle. And I was just looking at her hair.
Oh my God. Well, those bangs, you know, are one way to hide the hairline, but holy crap. It looks like she's got some like marmoset or something like that, you know, on her head. It's just...
I've got more to show you, so let's just keep
on God,
going
really?
This. Yeah, okay.
Oh, no.
Okay. We have this scene is where
yes.
he finds out that she is Lady Whistledown, and they're having this emotional heart-to-heart. And I was going, God, look at her lip gloss. Her lip gloss is so shiny. I wonder what brand she uses. Because that's really... Because they look natural, but they're still so shiny, shiny, shiny. I should not be seeing such shiny, shiny, shiny... look at this again. Look at this. This on her head.
Yes. Lots of little pin curls.
Too much makeup wedding. Let's look at the makeup on her wedding day.
Oh my God.
I can see glitter. I can see fucking glitter on her cheek.
I mean, that is a ridiculous amount of highlighter. In one of the pictures that you were sharing with me, the link that you shared with me earlier, there was a commenter that said that, Penelope's beauty is much more subtle and understated, and it always has been. And while I appreciate the fact that, she would get a glow up, for her season, they didn't have to go this hard on her.
They're literally putting the glow on her.
Yeah, I mean,
stick the highlight.
To give her the kind of glow up that, would be appropriate for that kind of, that kind of time, that kind of thing. Because what we're seeing on the show is absolutely not what women back in those days were wearing for their makeup.
I just think, when your makeup application is distracting people from scenes.
Yes.
Then, there was heavy makeup in season 1 and season 2, don't get me wrong. But I wasn't looking at the lip gloss in scenes. I wasn't like, I wasn't looking at the makeup. I wasn't like, they've not blended out the highlight and I can see glitter. Or I wasn't like there are shots where like she's so cakey that around her eyes it's creasing. And what I find is that there's no secret. She's in her late 30s. It's making her look older, than she did in the previous seasons. And I know they were trying to make her look less innocent, but not like a desperate housewife.
It's like you wind up doing makeup that is going to create, a beautiful skin, but it is not. You're not baking her under eyes, for forever, because you don't do that after a certain point. You have to. You've got to moderate your hand when you are dealing with older, and I'm putting that in quotes, skin, because damn it, she's in her early 30s. She is not old.
Late 30s.
It's like we're not dealing with someone who's 60. That kind of thing. So yeah, it's been a frustrating thing about this season that has been bothersome and distracting. I hope that they don't wind up doing this more in future seasons.
I was watching the movie Priscilla last night, which is the Sofia Coppola movie about Priscilla Presley. And obviously Priscilla Presley's makeup is iconic, and like she used a lot of heavy makeup. And I was watching that thinking, that's, that makeup's actually a lot lighter than anything I saw in Nicola Coughlan. She's been on this heavy eyeliner, and I was like, I can still see her skin, This is this is a lot lighter than anything on Bridgerton. So yeah,
Lord.
And there are scenes where she's got the eyeliner, the lashes, the blush, the highlight, the lip gloss, and they've overlined her lips as well. You can it's really visibly overlined, which is weird in a period piece. And then the nails are like too long, and it's giving Instagram in 2013 or something. Like it feels weird. There was this meme that went round about like faces that are in period pieces that look like they've seen iPhones, and that's what happens when they put this much makeup on Nicola. It's like suddenly she doesn't look like she just blends into this period piece. It's like she looks like modern. And I also think they're putting way too much makeup on, God help them,
Eloise.
Luke Newton.
Mm-hmm.
Let him, like, I haven't seen his skin in years at this point. Like, it's so, it's like they've gone in so hard with the fake tan that it's giving Liberace. It's not giving healthy young man. Between the wig and the tan, no. Like, they've gone over the top.
Yeah. Oh, God. I'm exhausted.
Costumes!
Okay.
Costumes. I mean, you can say something nice about the wedding dress if you want. Go for it.
Oh, no. I said all I had to say about it. It was shell pink.
But do you not think it's a bit boring?
Pretty. I thought it was pretty.
Yeah, but it's a bit boring.
I loved the neckline.
And sleeves,
I mean, they've had Nicola in these like scoop neck dresses with, showing all the cleave.
There was the scene. There's a promenade scene where everyone is all buttoned up and they've got their little coats on because it's a chilly morning in England. Yep. They're all going out for their walk, and then you see Nicola come out with
just got
tits out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just
I love the way that they had I love the way that they had the drape neckline. I thought that was absolutely beautiful.
I do think, like, for a Featherington wedding, though, they should have gone in harder with something more. Like this, like. Well,
remember, she went and changed her entire wardrobe, so
she was less Featherington. I know, but like, I think it's just because it's white. I want them to, like, I've seen so many, like, this is the 3rd season of wedding dresses we've had on the show, and I can't really tell them apart from, I do acknowledge that this one was slightly less white than the others. That's about it. It's just so boring. Because I remember the wedding dress from the end of the Emma adaptation that came out in COVID times that we watched, with, like, she walks in and the hat, the huge brim hat with the veil and like it's a little bit white on top, but then there's like this pink underneath, and like I remember that film that I saw 4 years ago in that wedding dress. When I'm not looking at pictures of this wedding dress, I almost completely forget what it looked like. It's so boring.
It's not as memorable. It was like, it was a pretty dress, but it's not like I would be, running to the bridal shop and going, this is the wedding dress that I want.
I wonder if they're going to sell this, because they have the Bridgerton bridal.
They're selling everything else. Why the hell not?
Dress. Yeah. I've seen the Bridgerton bridal collection, and I thought they were all dull as fuck as well. You might as well sell this one.
Yeah.
You know what killed me about this look, though? The fingerless fucking gloves. Oh my god.
Why? Why do they have her wearing those? She's worn them in so many other scenes in this series, and I don't understand why. She has lovely hands.
I saw a little video, and it was apparently Nicola's choice. Nicola is not a professional costumer, so she shouldn't be making that choice, because it was a bad choice.
That was not good.
It looks like, she's getting married at 12, but she has a community theatre production of Oliver that she's starring in at 12:30. So, quick, she's got to put on a top hat and go sing You Gotta Pick a Pocket or Two afterwards. You gotta pick a pocket or two. Woo! Because that's what I associate fingerless gloves with,
Oh, okay.
I thought Portia's outfit was hideous, but
yeah,
really, really ugly.
It was like, oh god, could you pick a fabric, please?
But I think, like, symbolically, what they were going for was, like, because it's at the bottom there was this really, like, colourful yellow, orange, like very season 1 Portia colours, and at the top she was wearing like blue, and like the concept was good. It was executed like terribly because she was obviously going for like the merging of the households.
Yes.
She was really on theme.
Violet. She definitely was.
Violet, meanwhile, always shows up to everything in Bridgerton Blue, and she's like,
"You're joining
our family.
Yes,
off if I
that is Bridgerton
try
Blue.
And make you feel welcome. No, we only
Does she wear any other color? I don't think so.
She might have
some
white
form
once.
of blue,
or like off white. Sometimes grey. I think.
Yeah.
Which is
maybe a little
just
lilac.
Blue.
Yeah, maybe a little lilac, but yeah, it is usually
boring,
in those cool. Yeah, those cool. I mean, I love the colors, but it would get a little dull, a little boring after a while.
Yeah, I just feel like after 3 seasons, like I get it, that's your aesthetic, but like let's find different shades and let's do some different cuts.
Yeah.
Let's spice it up. Violet, you're supposed to be blooming, but you are still trapped in your old aesthetic.
Yeah. Maybe we'll see some different things next season.
I quite liked her little veil thing she had.
Look,
I don't know if it's like my inner Catholic, but I love a veil. I loved it's not period appropriate. Penelope's veil. I was like, it's so long. It's so dramatic. I love it.
It was beautiful too. Yeah, I loved the delicate embroidery at the far end. And just the way that it flowed, and when she finished walking down the aisle and made that quarter turn or that half turn, the way that it just curved just perfectly.
I think
made my inner
dress gonna be real.
It made my inner wedding planner person's eyes just light up.
I find weddings to be quite boring. Sorry to everyone, but like everyone I know who's ever got married has always been like, oh, should I even bother with a veil? And I've always been like, oh my god, you have to wear a fucking veil. This is the only time you can wear a veil, and everyone will be like, this is normal. So just wear a fucking veil and just give in to the drama, okay? Wear a veil.
Yes.
It's a lot of faff. It's a lot of unnecessary work.
But it is just gorgeous.
Love a veil.
Because it is really the only time you can wear it.
Right?
Unless you're a widow.
Or if you're Catholic, you can wear them like just because.
You don't have to anymore, but
no, you don't
can.
Have to.
Yeah.
That's why all of the JFK funeral pictures are so good, because there are veils everywhere. Veils.
Just crazy veils. Oh, yeah.
I feel like this has now turned into a very pro-veil podcast where we're just like,
we less than 3 veils. Okay, so we had 2 needle drop moments.
Yellow.
In this, yellow, which I thought was pretty. I thought they did a decent job with that. It's a nice song. Now, needle drop number 2, you had a rather visceral reaction to that.
I fucking hate that song.
As we were talking during the recap.
I really hate that song.
Uh,
It's like, I hate you because you're more feminine than me song. It's, you're a cheerleader and I sit on the bleachers. It's like, literally, the lyrics of that song is like, I like this boy, but he's with this cheerleader girl, when he should be with me, the dork that doesn't wear short skirts.
Oh, God.
I'm the nerd, and he's going out with the hot popular girl, so obviously he belongs with me, is basically the whole message of that.
God. And you already mentioned that it's Taylor Swift, who I have made a conscious effort to avoid at all cost. So, I have no idea.
It's
and I don't want to.
Dumb song. It's just, I find the song to be like misogynistic.
Yeah.
Not fun. When I recognised it, I was like, I'm not hating. Like they've used Taylor Swift songs before in the show, and it's been fine. It's been whatever. But this particular choice was just an embarrassment to anybody who calls themselves a feminist. Quite frankly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you think about it, Penelope has always thought of herself as, this wallflower, kind of less than the other women, her age in the ton. And so, the fact that she's now the fact that she is now with Colin, who would be the football player in the Taylor Swift song, I'm guessing, and she would be the nerd, would be, see, I got him. In the end, I got him. And that
I guess Marina's the cheerleader.
I don't know.
The whole longing aspect, I understand. It's just the hate that she feels for the other woman is the problem I have with that song.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Okay.
Performer of the episode.
I find this really tough because, as we've spoken about, how I didn't feel like the editing or the writing really allowed anybody to give a very good performance this week. So, I know everybody's going to be mad at me, but I'm going to pick Simone Ashley.
Those were good scenes. I am going to pick Nicola for the moments that we saw during the episode where you could see that she was kind of trying to navigate the emotions, and I thought she did pretty well.
I think she tried, and then the editing kept cutting away from her. It's the same with with Luke as well. He was getting tearful and worked up in these scenes, and then they just cut, ruining his performance.
So anyhow, I will do both of them and curse out the editing suite. Curse you, curse. Curses on you. Because it would have been more amazing if you'd just not gone so ham.
I also just liked every time she was emoting the heck out, she was giving the performance of her life. I'm like, God, I can see glitter on her face.
So the editing suite and the hair and makeup. Yeah, it's y'all were
you were undermining
you're not
her.
Helping this
She's
week.
She's such a good actress.
Yeah, she really is. Okay.
How many bees?
How many bees?
Oh, I'm scared.
I'm gonna go with 2.
Me too.
You too?
Yes.
Ha-ha!
That's why I was scared. I was is this too low? But
I mean, because I love Paulin so much, it's tempting to say, okay, I'm going to give it 3 because I've rated the other episodes fairly high throughout the season. But I mean, this could have been so much better, and so that's the reason why it's getting it 2.
It's the disappointment factor, isn't it? It's look, you had potential.
Yeah,
I think that's what's frustrating. It's not like there was nothing here to work with. It's look at all this potential that you left on the table and you didn't work with this.
Yeah. Yep.
And you know what? I came into this episode thinking maybe 2.5. But then talking about it made me hate it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on board with that too. And it's just disappointing. As all get out. Here's hoping that the final one is not going to disappoint.
I don't have that hope. Okay.
Okay, time for Can You Believe It?
Candles, corset, perfume, pens, tote bag, pajamas, tea bag, mega rings, bulky toys, wedding dresses, medicine, teapot, high heels, coffee creamer, niche, soap.
And I'm guessing that all of these things are heavily discounted now.
So I will describe 2 Bridgerton products that are still available to buy now, and you tell me which one is real. Okay, so number 1, not Crocs, but very sort of similar Bridgerton clogs that look like it's basically a Croc ripoff. I think I see Diamante.
Well, honestly, they should have done a deal because, we know Nicola was running around on set with her Crocs on a lot of the time.
So comfortable. Number 2, Bridgerton teapot crossbody bag. It's a bag shaped like a teapot. Which one is real?
I'm going to go with the crossbody bag.
You are correct. Here's the link.
Oh, thank goodness.
You can buy it at
Yay.
Hot Topic. I was so excited when I realised Hot Topic is still a thing. So, for $44.90,
what the hell?
$45, you can buy this incredibly tacky-looking teapot.
Oh my god.
Crossbody bag.
I'm looking at the pictures and it's horrible.
It's the tackiest thing you've ever seen. It says Diamond of the Season. And then
it's horrible.
Oh my god, look at the strapping. Inside, you've got this quote-unquote beautiful purple lining with a big Bridgerton tag. Don't you also want to have Queen Charlotte's face? Or they look like coins, actually. The zippers, yeah. Zippers. Nothing about
Oh my god, this is
anything you should wear in public. I actually quite like it has like a mini coin purse that goes with it. The little coin purse is acceptable. It's got a little bee on it.
But having a giant bag that you're going to have across your body, no.
Shaped like a teapot, so comfortable, so practical.
No.
So in terms of the Bridgerton Crocs, sure, you can't buy them in a shop, but if you go on Etsy, you can get some really fucking ugly looking Crocs that have "Spill the Tea" written across the strap, Lady Whistledown symbols, Bridgerton nonsense, just so, inspired by real life events, I suppose.
No.
What have we become as a society that it's socially acceptable for Shondaland to be like, yes, a teapot shaped bag. People will buy it. People
will buy anything. Yeah. Yep.
If you have bought this bag, please look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, do I need psychiatric help? Yes.
Oh God.
You're walking around with a teapot bag.
A teapot, yeah.
It's not like if it actually looked like a. If somebody got a teapot, right, and made it into a bag, like cute, vintage, stylish, like. But that piece of shit that they're selling for $45, it's aggressively ugly.
Just walk on with that. Oh my God. Well. Thank you to everyone who has written to us again this week. You can hear those emails on our sister pod, Letters to the Editor, which will be dropping soon for subscribers on Spotify. That is all from us for this episode. We'll be back recapping and discussing the finale next week.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah. In the meantime, please follow us on Instagram for updates and subscribe for our bonus podcast. If you enjoyed this pod, please share, rate, and review. And we hope you have a lovely week. No more getting sick, Rita. No more getting sick,
I
Michelle.
have no promises. No promises. My body was probably reacting to knowing it had to do this. Subconsciously,
take care. Yes. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.